and the special guest host, Attorney Jerome Payne. Live TV talk on your digital device, on Roku, Fire TV, and Apple TV. Download the SVP TV app right now. Check us out every Tuesday on Comcast Cable, Channel 17, 8:30 p.m. And we are live every Friday on Facebook Live, 6 o'clock in the evening. You've got a question, our attorneys have the answer. So let's talk law with Attorney Daryl O'Neill on the SVP TV network.
Welcome to Talking Law with Daryl O'Neill. I'm your host. I got my main man, Jerome, with
What's
me.
up, Daryl? How are you?
Another day in the neighborhood.
All right, all right.
Jerome, we've been off for a minute, ain't we?
Man, I'm telling you.
So we need to give our shout outs. So
Okay.
shout outs to the far west coast of California. Shout outs to Little Rock, Arkansas. Shout outs to West Memphis, Arkansas. Shout outs to Memphis, Shelby County. Shout outs to Mississippi. Shout outs to the great state of Missouri. And Jerome, shout outs to your family and my family. Shout out to everybody's family.
Hey, fam.
So, want to play with a topic today. Got a new topic, Jerome.
Yeah.
Topic is judgments.
Okay, Daryl, let's give us an honor of Frankie Beverly.
Oh, yeah.
From,
Yeah,
passed
Frankie
away
Beverly-
on
yeah,
us.
Frankie Beverly did
and
die.
so we're having Whiteout Friday. That's why I'm in my white. A
man.
giant.
I didn't get the memo.
That's okay. You couldn't have done it anyway, man. You're too sharp.
I didn't get the
But
memo.
yeah, yes, Whiteout Friday, in memory of Frankie Beverly.
Frankie Beverly was the guy.
Awesome, man.
Yeah,
Awesome.
yeah. But we did forget to say that if you have...
That's right.
Oh, we're running live? So if you have YouTube, Facebook Live, Roku TV, Fire Stick, Apple TV, the SVP, I love to get this one.
Yes, I
the
know that's right.
SVP TV network app. You can watch us live, and if you got questions, we'll answer those questions online.
Man, we're looking for some questions
Man.
tonight. We're excited.
And it's free.
Yeah.
And it's free.
Let's roll, y'all.
Those are two words that don't go together: lawyer and free.
That's
they don't
true.
even go together.
True that. Well, that we're required to do some pro bono work. So this can count for our pro bono work.
It really could.
So call
it
in.
It really could. So, Jerome, we were going to talk about judgments.
Okay.
Question becomes judgment. And the real question, judgment is tough, man. And, so you start off with a judgment, how do you get a judgment? But then the bigger question is, once you get that judgment, how do you collect it?
Well, Daryl, let's look at the anatomy of a judgment. Okay, first of all, we talk about it all the time too. There are some introductory type things into the legal system. Mm-hmm. And more than likely, the General Sessions Court, if it's not for a traffic court, will be your first encounter with the judicial system.
Right.
Okay, so the system is designed to end controversies. Mm-hmm. So there's always going to be at least two sides involved in it. And then the third person is supposed to be a nonpartisan individual who makes a decision about how this thing ought to go. Mm-hmm. And you're not talking about it all the time there. It's kind of like going to the dance, going to the prom, right?
Mm-hmm. No, I call it going to a baseball game.
Okay. I like that. Take that further.
Yeah, see, that's how I usually like to analogize it to a baseball game. And you got one team facing another team.
I got you. Okay.
And then you have an umpire that calls balls and strikes.
I like that.
Don't like nobody. It's not in the middle of anything.
I like that.
You got one job called balls and strikes.
I like that.
And that's what a judge's job
is. But see, you have it in a corporate. I have it as an individual. Mm-hmm. That's why I say when you take the girl to the prom, you ought to dance with her. You know what I'm saying? And then look, and people are always trying to cut in, trying to see if they can dance with your girl. But when you start out in General Sessions Court, we say General Sessions Court, but really, controversies can be resolved all the way up to $25,000. It's called a small claims court, but $25,000 is a lot of money.
Well, I don't know about you. They ain't small claims for me. That's some loot, man.
That's exactly right.
And actually, there are some arguments and there are some type of cases that that the $25,000 cap doesn't even apply to.
That's right.
So here's what a judgment really means. A judgment means that you have, for lack of a better word, you have won.
That's right. I like that.
And
Yeah.
once you have won, what is your prize?
That's right. So one party has to prevail.
Right.
In General Sessions Court.
Mm-hmm.
So what happens is it's started by a simple complaint.
Mm-hmm.
You tell the judge, this is what happened to me, and I believe that X, Y, and Z is responsible for what happened to me, and they cause me damages.
Right.
And so, Judge, I want you to award me a certain amount of money to compensate me for the damages that have occurred.
Right.
It's totally different from criminal court. Now, criminal court is something that arrests the body, but General Sessions Court and the civil court is to reach in your pocketbook. Yeah. That's a pocketbook court.
Yeah. and so here's what I say, Jerome. Judgment is a bad word.
Yes.
I mean, and actually there's an argument that a judgment is a cuss word.
I agree.
And here's the reason why I say that.
Unless you're the one who...
Well, and even if you're the one that have obtained the judgment, it could be a bad word.
It could be.
Yeah, because here's what everybody says, I went to court and I won.
Yeah.
And I got a judgment for $1 or I got a judgment for $1 million. In my mind, that is the easiest thing in the world. I'm sorry, one of the easiest things in the world.
Yeah.
Because it's to get the judgment. Once you get the judgment, that's not the hard part.
There, you have said a mouthful.
You got to collect it, bro.
You can get a judgment even if you don't say a word.
Yeah.
And what I mean by that is that the other party fails to show. You just stand up and you won.
Right.
So and that's why you said it's the easiest thing in the world.
And like I said, my father just certain jokes,
Right.
$1 million times 0 is still 0.
Well, any number times 0 is 0.
Well, I'm really making a point because
I understand.
The fact that if you got $1 million judgment,
your dad is right.
And then, but you don't have a way to collect it.
Your dad was right.
Or have a way to pursue it, then you have 0.
Well, in fact, you could wind up negatively because you got to spend some money to try to go after that. That's great too, Darryl, because what we just discovered is that that's almost like a phantom driver in an automobile accident, right?
Right.
You say he ran you off the road, the blue car, the red car, but there's no evidence of it. So it's a phantom driver.
Right.
So the same thing it can happen to your judgment. It's a phantom judge. It sounds good on paper.
Right.
But there's no substance to it.
Right.
In other words, I just said, show me the money.
and look, that's the problem with a judgment. And this is what the person that was asking us about judgment concern is. I have this judgment.
Right.
Now the question is, how do I collect?
I won. I prevailed. I did everything right. I filed my complaint. I served the defendant. Mm-hmm. I had my day in court. The judge ruled in my favor. So I'm wonderful. But I still don't have.
Ain't no pot of gold at the end of the rainbow. You're at the end of the rainbow, still ain't no pot of gold.
Where's my money?
And so let's talk about that, Jerome.
Okay.
So if you have a judgment against somebody, now the question is, how do I collect?
Well, it's interesting, and there are also to show you the difficulty of following through on a judgment is the person who got your judgment probably doesn't want anything to do with collecting at all.
I tell people all the time, I don't do collection.
Right.
That ain't because getting a judgment in my mind is the easier part of it.
That's right.
Again, you're paying me to litigate this, and I'll do some cursory stuff for the judgment. But there's a rule out there. I think it's Rule 68 in the Tennessee Rules of Civil Procedure but that's one of the only few rules that you can use in General Sessions Court.
Oh.
And it's called the post-judgment relief.
Oh, I didn't even realize that there.
And so you can actually use that rule to collect post-judgment.
Oh.
So you can send subpoenas, interrogatories,
What?
different things of that nature. And that's why you see somebody.
I didn't think you could even do that in General Sessions.
That's why you see people issuing subpoenas.
I got you.
For people's records and people to show up in court. Bring all your books, records, papers.
Subpoena, deuces, take them.
Yeah.
That's what it is. Huh?
Yeah.
Okay.
Pursuant to a rule. That allows you to bring me back into court.
Okay.
But I got to get you served.
Right.
See,
the second time.
The second, because
you get the judgment, but now you got to serve them again.
I got to serve you with the subpoena.
I got you.
Because the court doesn't have any authority. Because once the judgment is entered, right?
That's true.
In General Sessions Court, once the judgment is entered, 10 days later, it dies.
It's a final.
It's a final judgment.
I got you. Okay.
And so
you teaching me something.
Yeah. So and it's the same way in circuit or chancery court.
I got you. Okay.
You get a judgment. 30 days later, it's final.
I got you.
So the court now has lost jurisdiction of it, unless you file something for post-trial or post-judgment relief.
Wow.
And so in the post-judgment relief, you are now going to ask the court to provide you with materials or with information so you can collect from that person.
Subpoena in aid of collecting the judgment.
In aid of execution of the judgment.
I got you. Okay.
Yeah.
I like
and so
that.
that's what they do.
Okay.
And then so what you can do when that happens is you request somebody to show up in court, to bring their bank records, bring their tax returns, bring their car, if they own
titles,
anything that you own, bring it to court.
Right.
And if you get them served and they don't show up, now you can get the court to do some stuff to them.
Oh, wow.
Bring them into court, hold them in contempt. I mean, there are some other things, because if you don't comply with a subpoena,
right,
you're in contempt. Subpoena says show up to court. You don't show up to court.
Right.
And
so there, that kind of takes away the fact that I told you civil is for this. Civil means money, pocketbook. Mm-hmm. But if you fail to comply with a subpoena, you might even wind up, you can be actually incarcerated, probably, can't you?
I think the short answer is yes.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
I've not seen that as, I've not seen that at all, ever, in General Sessions Court.
Okay.
I'm not saying that they can't do it. I think they can.
Right.
I'm not seeing it.
Okay.
And usually when you have a contempt matter, you're going to you're entitled to a hearing. And you have to establish that contempt was a crystal clear order that the person who was reading it could understand. And then, then that's how you get, so you have a hearing on that.
Okay.
And then if the court determines after your hearing that you got some problems, then you go to jail. Now, sometimes the court will say, well, you can purge yourself by complying with whatever the rule is.
Yeah, okay.
And that's usually what happens if the General Sessions judges, if they get you down there, what they do is they'll give you an opportunity to comply with the rule. And then once you comply, then they say, okay. If not, they tell the sheriff, stand by, he can't go nowhere.
Wow.
So,
sit over in the corner right here until the end of my trial, my docket.
Yeah. So the question that I have here is, I paid off the judgment, but the attorney will not give me a satisfaction,
okay,
or release.
That's an excellent question, because what happens a lot of times is people don't necessarily understand how to clearly deal in any court system, because there's no way in the world that you should be paying a claim off with an attorney's office that's not sanctioned by the court, because that's why you're not getting the release.
Right.
The attorney has the money, they're gone about their business. But had you had an attorney working this with you, there's no way in the world that they would have allowed you to do that without getting a letter of satisfaction.
Yeah.
I believe that you could still go back to the court.
I think you can too.
And get a letter of satisfaction. I think you could do that. But that's an additional step you have to do.
I think so. I think what happens is, number one is, it's a little easier in General Sessions because it's not a court of record.
Right.
And they are tracking, depending on if it's a garnishment, is there a levy, they have the judgments and they're tracking a lot of the stuff.
That's right.
which is interesting that because it's not a court of record that they track as well as they track.
Right.
And what I think if you can prove that you paid, then I think you can get a letter of satisfaction from the court.
I think a judge may even have some issues with an attorney who has collected and not doing a release in a timely fashion.
Right. And I don't. So I think what because just like they file a motion for slow pay.
Right.
I think they would have to file. They could file one of those kind of like slow pay motions to get back in front of the court, or they could submit one of those one piece of paper and say, Your Honor, I've paid a motion to get a ruling on the completion of my debt.
I think you're absolutely right. I think there's something. There's also a form for a motion to quash that you could possibly use. So, in other words, what we're talking about, audience, is because it's not a court of record, you got to find a way to get back in front of the court.
Yeah, right.
And there are several ways to do it. And we just talked about it. A motion to set installment payments would get you a court date. Also, a motion to quash, and those kinds of things would get you back in front of the court in order to air out the differences. But the better thing to do is to make sure that you can clearly document that you've satisfied this debt.
And
one more thing too there. One more thing too is you got to be very careful. We talked about this many times too, because the interest rate that they're charging at the attorney's office is probably different than what is at the court.
Right.
It's always more money owed at the attorney's office than what the court record says.
Well, and the reason behind that is twofold. Most people don't know this. So interest rate is done one of two ways. If it's covered in the contract, then you got to pay the contract rate.
Right.
If it's not covered in the contract, then there's a statutory rate.
That's right.
It's just that simple.
That's right.
But a lot of people feel, the Tennessee State interest rate is only 8%. Why am I paying this guy 22%?
I think they amended that. They amended that about maybe 2 years ago.
Yeah, you know what? I don't do collections.
With those 22 and 23 and 29 and 30% interest on the credit card.
Yeah.
You can't get that.
Yeah, see, I don't do collections, so I don't know.
I think it's been reduced to 10%.
Yeah.
Is the maximum amount that you can get.
Okay. The statute is more than 10 now.
What's the statute now?
10.5.
Oh, yeah. Okay, Mr. O'Neill.
Well, no. I'm just talking about the.
You talking about
the judgment interest rate.
That's like the TIL rate in bankruptcy is 10.5%. So you're right. It goes by the prime rate plus an amount, right?
Yeah, something like that.
Okay.
All I know is it's about 10.5%.
I think you're absolutely right.
And in Tennessee, it changes every 6 months.
Okay.
They reevaluate it every 6 months. So you can go to the Tennessee website and check the interest rate.
Well, so some of these collection attorneys are so sophisticated until the debtors, that's what we have. We have creditors and we have debtors. In fact, there's a law school class that I took called debtor credited.
Yeah, I didn't take that.
You didn't take that at all? No. Okay. Well, anyway.
I've seen it. I saw it, though. We had it.
Is that right? You just didn't take it?
No.
So what happens is, some of these collection amounts are just absolutely ridiculous. A person can have a vehicle that's repossessed, that's then sold, and leaves a deficiency amount that has grown 5 or 6 years, and now that person owes $38,000 for a $5,000 car. Yeah. That's ridiculous.
And that's what. And unfortunately, it's things like that force people into bankruptcy.
It's a crying shame that many of the people who are absolutely unable to survive in this city is because of these judgments that are coming down against them, that they had no idea how to deal with it. Because I called them and told them I couldn't afford it, so come get the car. Yes, ma'am, we'll come and get it.
and sell that mug for $2.
Sell it for $2.
Yeah, and
then
charge
you still owe the contractual amount.
Right.
And so that's another thing that we're trying to do, is to educate people you are bound by the terms of a contract unless somehow you get released from its terms.
Yeah,
You think so?
Yeah, I mean, those are really, really hard, and we'll dig deep into contracts on another day.
Okay.
But like I said, the real big question that we were having, and like I said, I like this one that we just received about the fact that, well, I done paid my judgment.
Right.
So now I'm the person that had the judgment against me, and I try to do the right thing.
That's
I
right.
paid the judgment. Am I entitled to something to say I paid the judgment?
Right.
Well, the short answer to that is absolutely.
I think you're absolutely correct.
And if the attorney refuses to do this, is there something you can do? Absolutely. You have to find out how to get back before that court.
That's right.
And maybe you can do that, like I said, with a motion. Usually we would do, if you hired a lawyer to do it, which is more expensive than it needs to be, then they would get you back there with some kind of specific motion.
That's right. And so the other thing, though, too, there is a lot of times, people take it upon themselves to determine that I paid it off. How many times have you seen that?
I have seen that a lot.
Okay, so
and here's
the
what
last
happened,
time
yeah.
I saw it, it was $10,640, and I paid $10,640. But you forgot about the daily interest that's accruing on there. So you really owe $15,000. So you can't pay what you want to pay. You got to figure out a way to pay.
Man, this is a tough
the balance.
question. This is a tough question here.
Okay.
Is there a way to get my name off the mortgage if I have to go to prison? My girlfriend's name is on the deed.
Wait a minute. So let's sort that out. Okay.
That's a tough question there, boy.
So who is the one saying they want to get their name off the mortgage?
The one that's going to jail, I guess.
Okay, so we need to have what? The jailbird? I'm just kidding.
Hey, he always talking about me being insensitive. Look at this. Oh,
Man, I'm just kidding. Look, I've been sitting with Dale O'Neill too long.
Oh, wow.
The unfortunate individual who has
Jailbird.
who has received a sentence, an unjust sentence. I'm going to say that.
An alleged sentence.
Right.
It's not alleged because you got to go into jail.
So you want that person's name off of the deed?
Well, that person wants their name off of the deed.
I think they can quit claim it to the other party, can't they?
No. A quitclaim deed only transfer you what interest that I have, and that transfers to you the real interest. So if you have, so remember, most people don't realize that. You just forgot it too.
Okay.
There's two tracks. You have the property, and then you have the financial aspects.
Okay. You're right. You're absolutely right.
And so a quitclaim deed will transfer your property interest, but it will not release you from the financial aspects of it. And let me just tell you,
I like that there. You're right.
I don't think if your name is on the deed, I don't care if you on death row. The mortgage company is probably not going to release you. And the reason why they're not, if your name is on the deed, I'm sorry, on the mortgage.
On the mortgage.
Is they're greedy.
That's right.
They want to have as many avenues to get paid as possible.
Well, that's what you agreed to. You agreed to that.
I didn't agree to go to jail.
But you agreed that if X doesn't pay, I'll pay. That's why we have the joint ownership of the property. But
the other person is the one that really has to issue those.
But I'm just thinking in my mind, if it's an impossibility,
I don't know that that's a.
You can raise it. If a person's in prison, how can you collect?
Because they make money in jail too.
$12 an hour.
It's still something.
Now you talking about insensitive.
I'm just saying.
But take about 12 cents an hour.
Hold up, man. Hold up. You get 3 hots in a cot. You don't need no money. You got 3 hots in a cot. No, but the person that's going to jail, Jerome, is not the person that's being penalized.
Oh, okay.
It's the person, in my opinion,
the
person that is left with the mortgage.
With the mortgage.
Is penalized.
Right.
And my question to that person is this. If you can afford to refinance, Because that's the real key.
Yeah.
If you can afford to refinance or get the mortgage company to refinance it in your name only, but if you need both names to get the mortgage, the question is, have you elevated yourself to a high enough standard that you don't need that person any longer and you can refinance it on your own?
Well, I think that's what the idea was to get that person, because that person cannot sign in order to get a refinance or to sell because the person is in jail.
And that becomes the other part.
Yeah.
See, I don't like this if I'm this person.
Okay.
And here's the reason why I don't like it. If the person is in jail, right, it's on the mortgage.
Right.
And if you refinance that mortgage or try to refinance that mortgage in your name, you still got to get this person to quit claim their interest.
Yeah.
Physical. Remember I told you got those two tracks.
Right.
So you still got to get this person to quit claim their physical interest to you.
Right.
And why would I do that? Because I need a place to stay when I get out of jail. And I'm a half owner, so I'm going to be right here.
Oh, man, that's cold.
I'm just saying, man.
That's cold, there.
Hey, because when we think about it, Jerome, okay, because remember, you got these two tracks.
Right.
You got the real property track, and you got the financial aspect.
That's right.
And they don't normally go together, because the mortgage company don't care about who pays,
right,
as long as they get paid.
That's right.
Okay, because we see people die all the time, and children continue to pay the mortgage and live in a house, and all. The mortgage company don't care.
That's right.
Because the mortgage rule is this: is once you transfer this property under any circumstances, quit claim or whatever, it accelerates that mortgage. You know that, right?
Yeah, and of course.
Most mortgage companies have an acceleration clause that if you now they don't know unless they pay attention.
Well, unless you register it somehow or another, and then the world knows that you've done it.
Well, the world should know.
Right.
Because there's still people do that all the time, and the mortgage company never figures it out.
Oh, really?
Because they don't care.
Yeah.
As long as you get it, as long as they get paid every pay period. I mean, serious. I mean,
it only becomes a problem. You know what? And most of these things don't become an issue until a default occurs. Then everybody wakes up, and so we talk about this too. Like when someone passes away, the first thing some of our aggressive people, the first thing they do is call a mortgage company and say, "My dad passed away." Bam! They shut down everything.
And if they don't, some people agree. They'll say, "Well, you just keep on paying."
Right.
And some of them say, "Well, sorry to hear that, but I can't talk to you."
Right.
Man, we out of time.
But
man.
I think they're gonna shut it down anyway, though.
Well, they
the
should.
fact that somebody has called and said the person has passed away.
They should, but greed is a terrible motivator, man. Hey, y'all, thank you for watching the show. Next week we're gonna have
Dominique
Mayfield, who is the trustee, Chapter 13 trustee.
Assistant U.S. trustee.
The assistant U.S. trustee.
Chapter 13 trustee.
Chapter 13 trustee.
Because Sylvia Ford Brown is the actual Chapter 13 trustee.
Yeah, I know.
All right.
Thank you for watching. We'll see you back next week.
Can you actually imagine hosting your next event at the all-new SVP Banquet and Event Center? Yes, spacious, beautiful venue with plenty of parking. Located